Hello, and welcome to the Creatively Geeky Show. I'm your host for the evening, Eugene Stevens. I almost forgot what show we were doing. I'm joined by our usual cast of Chris and Ray. How are y'all doing?
Good. Yeah, pretty good.
Y'all been busy?
Yes and no. That makes any sense.
Yeah.
No, that totally.
Life's been busy, but we've been trying to keep chill.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Good deal. Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump on in with our updates and what we've been working on. Traditionally, we start with Ray. Do you want to go first?
No.
All right. Chris, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
Sure, I'll go first.
All right, cool. Starting from the bottom of the list this time. All right, so you had down finish blankets, start decorating house.
So I'm actually kind of proud of myself, kind of doing both. So I finished my Gryffindor blanket, and now I'm almost done. This one I need more yarn for. I realized about 2 sections in, I didn't have enough yarn. So this one we're working right now.
Okay, what is that?
It's hard to see. Hang on.
As hard as it.
Ooh, okay.
It's bubbly.
It is bubbly. What's going on here?
So it's called a bobble stitch. So you make like these little knobbly bits. So it's going to be like a textured blanket. And I learned a new stitch, which is always fun, which kind of makes it look like a herringbone almost.
Ooh, okay.
So that's fun. And it's grape colored and it's soft. But I only have one ball left, and
it goes with the green cushions.
It goes with the olive green, and so yeah, I still have 1, 2.5 plus 5 more sections and a border. So yeah, I need like 2 more balls of yarn. I underestimated how much.
So this one, I take it this one is staying at the house. This one's yours.
Yes, this one's mine. This one's ours. I like to do I just like making them. I like making blankets. I like finding patterns and then getting excited about it and ordering yarn and wanting to make them.
But always ordering not quite enough.
Oh yes, this seems to be a trend. I don't order quite enough. I think I've got the math right, and then when I get into it, it's like, no, I got that wrong.
So I think we're just gonna have to add 10%. Whatever you think it is.
Yeah, add 10%. Isn't that like 10%. A builder's thing?
20%.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what I'm gonna have to do because I also have a so there's this thing called gauge with knitting and crocheting, and it's how tight the stitch is. So with knitting, I have a really tight gauge, which doesn't work well for things like hats and sweaters and anything clothing wise because it's tight. So I always have to go up a needle size. With crocheting, it's the exact opposite. My gauge is too big. And so this blanket is probably a lot longer than it should be because I've just made the stitches so much looser. I tried making a sweater. I had to rip it up 3 different times because it was gigantic. And I was crocheting the small stitch size, and I'm like, this thing's huge. I don't know what happened. And I went down the and like everything. So blankets are one of those things where it's super forgiving. It doesn't matter really. It doesn't have to fit. So that's why I like making them so much. Since I don't have the proper gauge. But yes, so make a long story short, yes, I did both those things. And I'm happy about that. Yeah, and I started decorating. So I started collecting some pictures and some...
Oh, do you want to pull over the candlestick holder?
Sure. So we drove by a garage sale a few weeks ago. So I'm going for a whole like Victorian botanical vibe in the house because the house... Victorian Eastlake house, and we found these really cool candlesticks.
Cool, that is so cool.
They're for a boat.
What?
Oh
my god! If you're not watching the video, this is awesome. Think like an old school like candle holder, like Ebenezer Scrooge would be walking around with, but you can actually like move it and it twists and turns so it would stay level. That is awesome.
Yeah. So we got 2 of those, and then we've got an old clock that Ray's going to turn into the Weasley family clock with our pictures, so it's only 4. Cool. I've got some old, I really love Dutch, like Renaissance Dutch painters. I like the way that they're very moody, and I just love that. So I'm starting to collect things like that for the house and do a whole moody Victorian botanical vibe in the house. So it's starting. And I got wallpaper samples. Oh.
Uh-oh.
It's self-adhesive, so it's fine. It's not too labor-intensive, right? And it's just one wall in the entryway, and it's one wall in the bathroom. And then that's it. That's all I'm allowed.
Gotcha.
Which is fine and fair. Because he's probably going to have to help me pick it up.
You may have missed something else that you'd been working on that you had mentioned. Something about your Etsy store.
Oh, yes. So
Glad you brought that up.
So it was kind of funny. I sort of scared myself into it. I was watching this guy on YouTube. He's called the Potter Collector, and he has the largest personal collection of Harry Potter books. Like, he's got all the collectible sets and stuff. So he's doing this collab with a subscription box company.
Mm-hmm.
And he was doing this announcement that that's what he was going to do. And then he dropped a little sort of spoiler where he said that one of the items is going to be fabric. And I freaked out. And I'm like, oh my God, what if it's a blanket? Oh, it scared me. And I'm like, I have to get my stuff out first so that I can't be accused of copying this guy. So I'm like, I'm ready to do it. I can do this. I just have to set myself a date. And if I put it out there on Instagram with a countdown and everything, and I see it, it's going to keep me accountable and it's going to make me do it.
Right.
And so, yeah, I was really nervous, and I did it, and it launched, and I haven't sold anything yet, which is totally fine because it hasn't even been a week. It'll be a week on Friday.
Right.
I'm just starting to share it out.
Yeah, and but I've gotten lots of traffic to my shop, which is nice.
Nice.
So I just have to keep. There's this one crochet account that I follow. She's from England. It's called the Pigeon Nest, and she's very big into Etsy. Huge into Etsy. She's been on like for 9 years or something like that. So I just started following her, and she's got some really good ideas and tips and tricks and stuff. So I'm going to be learning from her as to how to sort of put yourself out there and promote, and because it's just her doing it. She doesn't have any help. She knits. Because the thing about crochet is that a machine can't do this. Mm-hmm. There's lots of knitting machines, but you can't machine make crochet. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it has to be done by hand. So yeah, which is what I love about it. I actually didn't know that either until she said it. I thought it could be done by a machine. I'm like,
so everything you've ever seen crocheted had to have been done by a person.
Has to have been done.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So it makes it that much more special because it's not machine made. Because there's knitting machines. You can knit crap in like seconds. If you get one of those old timey, it's like a circle thing with lots of pins and stuff, and it turns, and you could make a hat in like 5 minutes by turning around and around and around. It takes me 5 hours to knit a hat, do it by hand. But if I were to crochet something, it's a lot quicker, but a machine can't do that.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, my Etsy store has been up for, so I've been doing things like in batches. Yeah. And usually I do like 2 batches per month. Well, I'm just now finishing the first batch of matrices for this month, and it's the 21st. Like, I may get a second batch listed. It's just right now it seems like things are a little slow. I think people are still, they're trying to make sure their budgets are okay. I know in the U.S. a lot of stuff's going on right now with people going back to work. So, their disposable income, they're trying to recalculate it and everything. So I know there's definitely some changes there, but I shared it. My wife shared it. Everyone, like I said, lots of people are, everyone I know who's a Harry Potter person, I've been pointing them your way.
Well, I appreciate that. It's very sweet because it's nice. And I've been putting this off for so long, and finally it was just like, I have it all done. And also listening to this woman, she doesn't make a bunch of stock. She does make to order. So she's a few things kind of ready so she can just grab and post. So she said that's how she gets away from having to put a lot of money out initially and have all of this stock, which is that's a mistake I made the first time I opened up my Etsy shop. I did the opposite of that.
Mm-hmm.
So this time around, I'm only making enough to take pictures of. And if I get a new idea for blanket, which I have a couple new ideas.
Should we announce right now?
No. I'll talk to you about it later.
We're not
but not right now because they're not fully fleshed out. And so I'll be making like prototype blankets and stuff, but I won't have lots of stock. So I'm learning a lot about how to make this a less stressful process than last year.
Right.
Yeah.
See, and so as I'm sitting here talking to you, behind me, I've got a box with the 5 matrices that I've got to get together.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to be working on that tomorrow night and Friday before I go to a convention this weekend. First convention I've been doing in over a year.
Wow.
But sitting here next to me, I already have the next 5 matrices printed. Now, granted, I have most of the parts printed, but I've got like 2 of the orange ones and 2 of the gold ones ready to go.
Yeah.
And I'll put out 5, and then I kind of have to go from there. The thing is I'm almost kind of going the opposite way right now, and I've almost played around with the idea of maybe I should just go ahead and make 5 gold, like instead, because like on your Etsy, on the Etsy listing, you can go in there and put one listing, and you can say, hey, pick one of these or whatever. And that's how I have it. So there's one listing for the large matrix, and you pick which one of the 4 different ones or whatever.
Yep.
And I've almost thought maybe I should just go ahead and make 5 gold ones, 5 orange ones, and then the other ones can be special order or whatever. But and have separate listings, and that way I can sit down and go ahead and put them all together, because I really do try to wait until I get all 5 of them sold before I put them all together, because it's just so much easier to sit down, because I have to drag out my soldering iron, I have to drag out the glue and stuff. It's just much easier to knock them all out at once.
Yep.
And then I'm good for, the next time I post or whatever. So like I said, I've almost played, I was kind of thinking about last night. I was like, well, man, if I actually just did it, I mean, granted, they'd still be up there. And if someone asked, hey, you're out of the orange one, can you make some more? I'd be like, yeah, just trying to get caught up or whatever. But I don't know. For right now, I'm okay. I may end up doing that. I don't know. So, of course, I was going to work a little bit on it last night, and my soldering iron died. So, waiting for a new one to come in the mail tomorrow. That'll be fun. It was only $10. I almost pulled the trigger on a nicer one, but like I've kind of got a compact setup right now, and the nicer one would include like the whole stand or whatever for it, and and I was just like, do I want something else bulky to keep? Nah, I don't want anything else bulky to keep it with. So end up going with the no cheapo one, which is fine. So all right, well, I'm gonna jump in here next.
Yep.
So let's see here. On my list, I'm in the wrong thing. There we go. That's the right thing. All right. Small house projects, work on Ecto, were the 2 things that I had listed. Okay. So my wife and I have run into an issue where, well, first off, I have knocked out several small projects around the house.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of little random things. One of the bigger, I say not bigger, it's a medium-sized project, is we've got these lights like in our hallways and in our bathroom and like in the closets that I'm wanting to put in like modern style. I call them eyeball lights, but they're like sunken socket lights or whatever. These new versions are literally about maybe an inch thick, and so literally you cut the hole, you wire it, and you don't have to put any kind of a case or anything way up into the ceiling. They just they're almost basically just as thick as the sheetrock, which is really cool. So putting them together should not be that hard. It's just getting to do it. I've been working on that. I've been working on other little small projects or whatever. But the big thing that's happening right now is, it's probably been, I would say probably 13 years, maybe 12, 13 years ago, we painted the house, and we painted almost every single room a different color. Mm-hmm. We kept all the paint, but we're starting to run out of the paint. And at about 7 years ago, because it came up on my time hop, we had the living room and the kitchen repainted. We paid someone to repaint those, and those went from a brown and a green to both a slightly different shade of gray. Yeah. And trying to go buy touch-up paint I got all the paint from Lowe's. I know they are all flat, but I can't match it. And so at some point they have changed their formula. So even though I can go to Lowe's and I can take the original paint sample and get the color is off because just the paint has changed a little bit over time. So we've got a guy who's working right now. He said, we'll cut out a small section of it, take it in. So I did that and got it color matched. So the paint that I bought is the right color, but if you look at it in certain light, it's like, it looks like a shiny leopard on the wall. It's driving us insane.
Yeah.
So we were like, you know what, fine. We're just going to pay and have someone paint a couple of different rooms. And we've gotten fed up with the living room and the kitchen. So we're adding that as well. And turns out it's Laney and Joseph's next door neighbor. He's a handyman. Apparently he also has he does something else during the day. So he's only working from 3:00 until about 7, but he's getting a lot done.
Yeah.
So anyway, we've got all that going on in the house and just other little random things. So I am knocking out some small projects around the house. There are a few more things I want to try to get done before Christy goes back goes back to work or whatever. She's got about 2 weeks left. So trying to wind down on that. The Ecto. So I've gotten quite a bit done. If you're watching the video version, it's kind of hard to see, but it's actually the roof rack is actually sitting back here behind me. The main thing is I'm trying to find time there's some parts I've got to prep, but I've gotten a lot of parts in. So over here on the right-hand side, a lot of this stuff I was also trying to not Eugene it. And by that, I mean, order absolutely everything I can think of that I would need and then get it in and be like, oh shit, this ain't gonna work. Oh, this ain't gonna work. So I'm trying to go part by part. But like I've got the lights sitting over here. I bought these aluminum, they've got T-slots inside of them, but I bought aluminum rods that I'm going to affix to the bottom of the basket that I can put the lights on. And I was hoping 2 apiece were going to be strong enough. That's not going to be strong enough, so I had to order another set so that it will be all attached together. I've got to drill holes in that. I had to first off, I had to find the stupid screws that I needed. That was an interesting situation. I don't know. I can't remember if I've brought this. I don't think I brought this up on the show, but do you know what this is?
It looks like it's for knitting needles.
Well, it shows diameters and for different screw sets, isn't it?
It's a screw sorter, is what it is. But even then, I still had to look up exactly how to do it because the screws that I have, I was like, okay, well, is it supposed to just fall through the slot or is it supposed to screw into the slot?
It should be into.
Falls through.
Oh.
Because that was my problem. I went to Lowe's looking for a certain type of screw and I could not find it. And I'm like, okay, I've either mismeasured this or they simply don't carry it, or maybe I'm looking for something that does not exist. It turns out I was looking for something that doesn't exist.
Okay.
So yeah, I had to buy a bunch of screws and stuff, and but I've got those in. So I've got the screws in. I've got that in. I've got vinyl here, so I can start working on the magnets that go on the side of the car. I actually got the large roll of magnet in as well.
That's awesome.
It's exciting. It's one of those things I'm going to have to find time not only to attach this stuff to the large roll of magnet, but I'm going to have to go over to my mom's house and figure out how I can use her Cricut machine to cut out the vinyl to do the letters and stuff that I want done.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something else that I've got to work on. But yes, I'm actually making headway on it. Like I said, I've got a convention this coming weekend. Obviously, the Ecto will not be ready for then, but about mid-August, as long as we don't get rained out or whatever, we have our first parade, and I'm hoping I should have, hopefully, things done by then. So we shall see. And then the other thing that I was working on is my other quote-unquote Ecto. So there's a company called Eagle Moss, and I think they're called Hero Collector in other countries, but and they're actually out of England. They started this thing last year, and it's a subscription, a build a vehicle subscription. That's mainly what they do. And they did one for the Ecto 1, and kind of as a tribute to my dad, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to do this. It's going to cost me a pretty penny, but I'm going to do this. Well, I got a little ways in and stopped getting the subscription for whatever reason. And I contacted, I was like, hey, I haven't gotten anything in a month or so. What's going on? And they're like, oh, well, issue 14 is on back order. And I was like, okay, cool. Can you go ahead and just keep sending me things?
Yeah.
And I'll just either keep going or I'll hold off. Well, I decided it wasn't like it was extremely pivotal. I'm like, I'll hold off and I'll just wait. Months and months went by. I kept getting more and more packages. Still didn't get that final one. Finally got in the missing piece. And so since we've talked, I sat down over several nights and put this stuff together. And I have basically the chassis of the car is done. Mm-hmm. And it's at least like 2.5 feet long, if not 3 feet long. It weighs like 7 pounds. This thing's going to be a monster.
That's awesome.
But I've had so much fun doing it. So I can't wait till the next shipment comes in so I can keep going with that, because that is something that, even though it's not, I say it's work, it's not work. It's just I sit down, I have a good time. Usually I've got something on YouTube, so I'm halfway watching and I'm putting stuff. Sometimes it's nice building stuff and making stuff, which is why Lego is so, intriguing to me, because I can just follow the instructions and I can make something, and I don't have to think like I am with this Ecto. I'm like, all right, well, I've got to measure, and then I've got to drill all these holes before I can even start assembling stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
I get that.
Yep. So that's what I've been working on. Ray, you had sketches for paintings and the fairy door.
So
neither.
Neither of those have occurred.
However,
I have begun a Hobbit door.
Ooh, okay.
That's going to be going over a vent that should never have been put into one of our doors in the house. It's not even
a vent. It's a
piece of dryer vent that they stuck through a wall to add air conditioning and heating to a room that really. Yeah, it's not legit. Anyway, so to block that up, I've been trying to think of other ways to do it, and so Chris suggested maybe creating a Hobbit door, and so I've got the basics of that started. I had some scrap pieces of cherry that I've glued together, and so I'm going to make a circular door out of that and kind of play around and see what I can do.
Cool.
Then I also got very distracted.
Yes.
Because I found a YouTuber called Doug Linker, and I started carving.
Yes, you did, and they look awesome.
So they're fun. They're just nice little things for now. I like these guys. The hat's kind of fun and everything. So the next step is he's done a few different videos. One thing that I did start carving for Chris as well was a wand that was inspired by Hermione's, but I always thought it was weird that it was just leaves. It was like a vine, which is cool, but I thought it'd be kind of cool to put some flowers on there. So kind of did like a sort of a rose type of flower on it. And so that's that one's as done as I can do without ruining it. The other thing that I've always thought about wands as well was I thought it was awkward that I thought it'd be kind of cool anyway, if it was perfectly fit, right? So, your thumb actually fits into a groove, and your fingers fit into a groove for holding it and all that stuff. So, anyway, I got Chris's marks on there, and I carved out for her, and so I thought that was kind of just my own take on it.
Right.
So I think I'm going to try and continue that with the different ones that I create, and I've got other ideas for it. So yeah.
Okay, I just had a thought, not to interrupt you, but I just had a thought. So I have a question.
Yep.
You and I are in the wizarding world. We're both wizards.
Yes.
We both have we've gone to Ollivanders. We've got a wand. do you modify your wand? Because that's kind of a thing I do to a lot of stuff that I own, and I'm thinking maybe if it did have just fit my hand just a little better.
I always thought it would be easier to make it so that it doesn't escape your hand for like Expelliarmus and stuff, right? Because there's times where Harry will be able to hold on to it after getting hit with that spell. So it's like, well, if you made it so it's easier to grip and your hand is actually perfectly melded to this thing,
right?
Because it's supposed to be an extension of you,
right?
Well, maybe that would make more sense. Now, would I personally? No, except that I probably would, because if I was in that, well, no, if I wouldn't as somebody who's purchasing the wand, but I will say this: if I was in the Wizarding World and I actually worked there, I'd be in wand lore for sure. I would definitely be working.
You'd be Arthur. You'd be tinkering around with all that Muggle junk.
Well, I would be doing that too, but I would work with wands, and I'd be, because the other thing I want to carve is a staff for like Gandalf and stuff like that. So yeah, that's where I would go with all that stuff.
I'm just thinking like customizing it, putting it, like I said, maybe fitting the handle. But see, when you were talking about, making it so that it fit the hand better, so it would be less likely. I was like, oh, so are we talking about putting like drilling a hole in the end and putting like a loop so that like, kind of like a Wiimote or something, you can put it around your wrist, like before you go to battle, you kind of put it on your wrist. So you get hit. Oh, guess what? My wand didn't fly off. It just, look, my wand's right back here.
So somebody in the Wizarding World makes customized. People will probably custom their own wands.
Look at Lucius Malfoy, right?
Oh, yeah, he stuck it in the end of his walking cane.
He has it in the walking cane, and he's got the snake head that's attached to the end of the wand. And Voldemort snaps that off, right? And the wand is still being used and still works.
Yeah.
So that's obviously an addition to the wand. The wand is secure and it's fine on its own.
Yeah,
so,
I'm sure people.
I'm sure there are.
For sure.
I would probably suggest not drilling through.
No, I feel like you break the core.
Then you're getting into the core, and
that would be the problem. See, I'd have to do a lot of research, like you said. Maybe you can't necessarily affect the wand itself. Maybe you can just do additions too, which if that's what you got to do.
So I'm thinking like leather strapping for a sword, right? Yeah. Except that you continue it down and loop it and into itself, and then that would be your
exactly.
Why not? It's
sure.
So that's kind of what I've been doing instead of the other stuff that I promised myself that I was going to do. And this, it's been fun. I really, if you get a chance to go to Doug Linker's YouTube channel, he goes through all of it. He does a couple of different things. So the next one I want to do, I started it. It's an actual little figure, and he calls them like what does he call them? A hillbilly type of character, and it's kind of cool because there's no eyes again. It's the person's nose sticking out of a hood or a hat or whatever. And so after I get well into that, and I feel more confident with my abilities, I kind of have an idea with Chris. She gave me an idea of what I can create out of those, and I'll talk about those when we're not recording.
Yeah, cool. That was awesome of me. I don't remember
So yeah. That's kind of what's going on there. Other than that,
what?
Oh yes, the new tattoo.
Oh yes, you got a tattoo.
So that took 5 hours.
It looks. I'll be honest with you. Looking at it, I'd be like, that had to have taken longer than 5 hours. But apparently, they know what they're doing.
She's efficient. So I got that done. And then in September, I'm going to, so that's for my next thing to figure out. I've got a couple of spaces that she's going to fill up in September, and I have to figure out what I actually want them filled with. So I'll go and do that next. Okay. I'm going to have a lot of work coming up, so I'm not sure how much I'll be actually able to do. So, but I'm excited. I've got a bunch of knives and stuff, carving knives, and I'm really excited because this is a fun hobby that I can actually get into. So
it's cute to watch him sitting on a chair outside whittling.
I've joined the old man club.
He's officially an old man. Cute.
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at my phone because I was like, what were we going to talk about tonight? And I had to look that up and remember it.
Oh, yeah.
Because it actually kind of goes right into the other thing I forgot. It's literally sitting right here that I made and did and threw together real quick. And that is gearing up. So things are at a interesting crossroad right now, pretty much everywhere in the world, including here in the United States. Granted, y'all's population is not as high as, but y'all now have more percentage-wise, y'all have more vaccinated people. So congratulations on that. Oh yeah,
I didn't know that.
Y'all have more fully vaccinated people than the United States does.
Wow, go us.
Percentage-wise.
Absolutely, percentage-wise.
They'll be week, me and the kids.
Yeah, I think you have a few more holdouts.
Yeah. Not to get too, but so right now there are a few people who have been fully vaccinated that are getting the Delta variant, but not that many. Like tiny number.
From what I understand, it's not that many, and the severity is not nearly as bad as what it would be. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So we're still feeling pretty good. This weekend we have Classic Game Fest. We have gotten I've gotten emails from the people putting it on saying that ticket sales wise, it is as big as it's ever been. In fact, it may even be bigger. So It's going to be a packed crowd. I'm going to, reaffirm to the group, if you are uncomfortable or want to wear a mask, you go right ahead. No one's going to say boo. Especially being Ghostbusters. But it's one of those things that's like, I keep thinking, and I'm like, no, I'm fully vaccinated. I should be fine. We'll see. That being said, last weekend I went with Joseph and Lainey to go to the movie theater. It's the first time I've done that in over a year, which was awesome. So things are starting to go back to quote unquote normal a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I find I am starting to try to get geared back up for quote unquote normal life. So what's funny is one of the things I forgot to mention that I've been making, and I'm sure number one, he's not on the show, and this won't come out until Monday, so he won't know. Joseph is joining the Austin area Ghostbusters. He's like, hey, you and Lainey have a lot of fun doing it. I've seen y'all do it. I'm pretty much going to go with y'all anyway. I might as well join the group. Cool deal.
Awesome.
So anyway, I was cleaning out, or I was doing some stuff in my shed, and when I originally, so on the Ghostbusters 1 flight suit, on the khaki suit, there is it's basically a pee hose that goes, it's a small connection on the left pant leg, and the hose loops down and around, back around and fastens to the belt. A lot of people sew them onto their flight suits. Problem is, though, is throwing it in the washing machine. No bueno. So this guy came up with this idea. I copied it. I made my own version, and it attaches with magnets. Anyway, when the hose is actually supposed to be dyed kind of a yellow color, when I dyed mine and Lainey's, I had some hose left over, so I went in and dyed it while I was going. In fact, I may have done mine and then done the other two as part of a demonstration, because back when I was doing marginally geeky or epically geeky makers, that was one of the videos that I did. Anyway, I remembered that I still had the hose, so I went ahead and 3D printed the other attachments, and so this is going, unbeknownst to him, this is Joseph's pee hose for his flight suit. So yeah, I'm kind of, I'm sure he'll enjoy it whenever I hand it to him, probably on Saturday, be like, oh, by the way, I just happened to make one of these. So, so yeah, gearing back up and getting ready for this stuff. So,
yes.
But yeah, so, the whole thing with my ecto is, with my car, that is, ties into it. But I'm getting excited because it's not just, oh, well, I'm making a thing and then it's going to sit here. Or like Baby Yoda is still gray and he's still sitting here looking at me. Part of the reason is because toys have actually come out of Baby Yoda, so I don't have but it's also it's not like I could paint him and take him anywhere and do anything with him. So And I know a lot of cosplayers have taken this advantage. They're like, oh my god, I finally have the time I've been asking for forever, and have kept cranking out stuff. Not me. uh, but now that things are actually going to be happening, I'm getting the excited back. So for example, Lainey was talking to me the other day, and she's like, hey, so my proton pack is older. It doesn't work great. It's kind of starting to come apart at the seams. Do I even need to bother bringing it for the convention? And I said, no, don't worry about it, because I've got some of the spirit packs what you can take or whatever. So if you decide you want to, or you can just borrow mine, whatever. It's fine. We're good to go. I was halfway expecting her to ask me, so when could we start working on version 2 for me?
Yeah.
Which of course I'm sure would lead into, technically it would be, if I started one for her, it would be my Mark IV. And then Joseph's would probably be pretty close. It would be Mark V. There's some things I need to finish nailing down before I start doing that. I have the 3D printing stuff side. I've got it. I don't have to. I know everything fits. I can do it. There's actually some really good models out there as well. I joined this group, and I was partially I was like, oh look, people don't tend to print this way. I could have just anyway. It's kind of like doing all this work to figure out how to make my own lightsaber, and then being like, oh dude, all you had to do was bring in the thing, and we could have just put it in there, and you'd been good to go. So anyway, but I've got options. That part I'm down with. It's the electronics I have figured out, but I'm trying to figure out more efficient ways to hook everything up. And so that's going to take a little design work, but I'm kind of eager to do that, because the design work I do for a full-size proton pack would be the same stuff I could use for the smaller packs like my boys have. So I'm killing lots of birds with, one stone. But the thing that I've run into is, so like I said, I'm part of this group on this Ghostbuster prop building group. Mm-hmm. And this one guy posted a video the other day. So it's called the cyclotron. Well, no. Yeah, the cyclotron. It's a circular part on the proton pack, and then kind of has like an arm part that goes up. Mm-hmm. And he was showing on his large 3D printer, it printed, and he had the entire thing as one piece and grabbed it and just popped it off the bed. And of course, lots of people start asking, what printer is that?
Yeah.
And he kicks back in. He says, oh, well, it's a CR10. It's a CR10 Max, but heavily modified. Okay. How much does the CR10 Max go for? So I look it up. It's about $1,000. Prints at like 450, I think, by 450 by 450. Mine prints 300 by 300 by 300. And I was like, oh, that's a lot of money. Although I have an anniversary coming up next year, and I don't really know what I want. And I got to looking, and the thing about the Pro is it automatically levels the bed and does some other stuff. But there is a thing called a CR10 5S that's only $700 and some odd dollars, and it prints 500 by 500 by 500. I literally could print I could print pretty much the entire proton pack in 4 prints.
Wow.
It would be the top section, the bottom section, what's called the bumper, the thing that goes across the front. And actually, I probably could even print it in just 3, but anyway.
Yeah.
And now, granted, he's like, it would still take like a week's worth of printing, but I'm just like, oh my God, how awesome would that be? Because also business-wise, instead of printing these matrices one at a time, I could just buy really big, spools of filament.
Yeah.
And yes, it would still take the same amount of time, but I wouldn't have to babysit a printer every day. No. I could literally let it go for days and just it would be done. So that may be something I'll look at for my anniversary present. We'll see. Anyway, but it's getting me excited to start making again, and I'm like, man, I'm kind of getting the itch to build another proton pack. So yeah. So what about y'all? Are y'all is the unthawing of the world essentially getting you excited to make again, or
we have learned that we are very introverted.
I win on that front.
Yeah.
I'm most introverted in the house.
I enjoy some things. I've never really enjoyed large crowds or anything like that. That being said, one of these days, I will go back to Fan Expo in Toronto.
Yes, we'll go back. Yeah.
Right.
But no, it is on this year.
Is
Toronto,
it? Oh, that's
Toronto
right.
Fan Expo is on. They are bringing in some people like Yondu. I think is going to be one of the ones.
Okay, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think he's going to be there, which is pretty cool.
Mhm.
I was actually going to look at the list, but it doesn't matter. We're not going this
No.
year because not just the Delta variant, but I have some family members that cannot get vaccinated due to allergies. So, you know, we'll do our part there.
Yeah.
The other thing too is, you know, we're just trying to learn what we're comfortable with and trying to ease our, you know, we're dipping the toes back in rather than jumping in. So,
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. I think that's probably the best way to put it. Because we have been so isolated, right? And it's just us to the point of, okay, it's if we went to extremes and started going out and doing all the things,
it would be very overwhelming.
It would be very overwhelming, and I think it would cause a lot of stress for all of us. So, that being said, I am very excited that the theaters are open.
Yes.
And they are at 50% capacity. So I'm excited that we're going to be able to go on a date, and it's just going to be you and me at a theater, which is great.
Yes, because we do. Those are like experiences for us. We do love going to the movies. And stuff,
I miss going to the theater. So like, if I could have jumped on the plane and been down near you guys, I would have watched Black Widow with you guys for sure. But it's just I think we're slowly going there. I still don't feel comfortable going into a restaurant and eating in a restaurant, even though we could. The outside patios, we haven't taken part of that.
No.
We'll do takeout, but we won't be a part of the eating at our location yet. So we're really taking it slow and making sure that everybody's comfortable with these next moves and with everything going on as well with the Delta variant and everything. So that being said, when I actually do get out there, I was telling Chris, one of my ideas with these little guys is putting my mark on them somewhere and then just leaving them around when we're on a walk. And
really, that's awesome.
Yeah, just whether somebody finds it or not, and if they like it, great, and if they don't, that's okay. It's whatever. It's just something to smile about. So that's all they're going to be.
Are you going to stain them or seal them in any way?
I think some of them I will for sure. Other ones, no. And if they age and they crack, that just adds to it, right? So
okay,
yeah. So like these guys here, I probably wouldn't. They're just a face. But there's the little figures. There's some really nice wood stains that I've worked with. And if you stain it right, it actually looks like it's clothing or it's that kind of stuff. So like it's different colors and stuff like that. So yeah, it's what I did skateboards in. So
very cool.
Yeah. So it's just trying to dip our toes.
Now y'all are not fully vaccinated 100%, all four of you, right?
So Ray is.
Ray is.
Yeah, so Ray's fully vaccinated, and then the kids and I go next Wednesday, and that'll be our second shot. The problem with Ray's vaccination is that he has a Pfizer and a Moderna, and we were told in Canada that to mix them was fine, just get vaccinated. It's come out that some countries won't recognize you as fully vaccinated.
So I'm concerned.
Really?
Yeah.
So there's a now we're not going anywhere for at least a year, like outside of the country.
Yeah.
So there is a small, and it depends if we have to get boosters or whatever.
Yeah, there's other factors that are still at play.
But right now, depending on who you ask in what country,
so
Ray's not fully vaccinated. The kids and I are both getting, both our shots are going to be Pfizer. So we will be, in the eyes of the World Health Organization, fully vaccinated.
Yeah. So what came out afterwards? So there was a couple. They were trying to go to the Barbados, and they said, "Yep, we've been vaccinated. It's been 2 weeks since we've had our last one. They went through it all. They were about to leave, and that's when they found out that you're not fully vaccinated. We don't consider you to be fully vaccinated because you had a Pfizer or a Moderna, but not two of one. You had one of each. And then it came out, the World Health Organization came out at some point and said that they didn't want people to make those decisions of you know, stick with one, don't mix and match. The problem was Canada was severely delayed in getting quite a few of their vaccines, and they really wanted to make sure that everybody had their first shots. So they had this influx of Pfizer, so they gave as many people as much Pfizer as they could. And then there was a delay in the Pfizer, and Moderna showed up. So they started handing out the Modernas, realizing that people were coming due for their second shots. And they did some studies, and I know the UK did this as well, that they mixed and matched. And so from the findings that they were finding that people were actually just as protected as anybody else because it's an mRNA.
Yeah.
And whoever makes it, it doesn't matter. It's the same idea.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's what's been the findings of all of this. And anyway, after Canada has allowed this for months, the World Health Organization, apparently there was a specific spokesperson that came out and said they didn't want this to happen so that people wouldn't make the decision on their own. That was the whole point. But I guess it was a bit of a misquote. I have to do some more research on what the World Health Organization has done since. But apparently these other countries are starting to recognize mRNA, 2 mRNA are fine. So now the people that have to worry are the people that had AstraZeneca first and then an mRNA second, because they may not be considered fully vaccinated. So it's a mess. It's a mess. So we're not out of the woods yet.
Yeah. No. So as far as feeling like getting ready and gearing up, for us, it's not so much because we had 3 pretty severe lockdowns over a year. So for us, it was a lot. And the kids barely went to school, right? Like they did a chunk, I think their first 3 months they were at school. And then it
was after Christmas.
And then after Christmas, they didn't go back. And then they went back for like a month and a half, 2 months maybe. And then we're done. So they didn't go back at all. So it's been very back and forth. So especially in Ontario, because we can only speak for Ontario. Doug Ford has not slowly, but it was based on the percentage of people getting vaccinated, how things would open up. We've just, as of last Friday, we hit phase 3. So that meant that theaters are starting to open up, gyms, all that stuff is starting to open. So we're just starting. You guys are ahead of us.
Yeah.
So we're just
I don't
starting.
think a lot of you close.
So we're just starting. And so for us, I think we've already had it in our mind that we're not going to any cons. We're not doing any of that stuff till at least next year. That way, because there's lots of people who are sick and tired of being at home. So there's going to be a big surge of tourism.
Right. Yeah.
And because we're not big crowd people, it's just like, and Fan Expo is just shoulder to shoulder. Like you're in there like sardines. Like it's ridiculous. Yep. So that with the Delta variant, with COVID already, and then you have people who can't get vaccinated, people who have chosen not to mix with people who are. And so I just feel like it's a petri dish for that. So yeah, we probably wouldn't be doing anything until next year anyways. But in terms of hobbies and crafting, wood prices keep going down. And so we have to draw up our plans for the bookcases and fireplace in our living room here. So that's what we're going to be doing hopefully this fall. Really,
I'd like to if we can.
I'd really like to. It's fine now because I love Facebook Marketplace. It's both a wonderful and terrible place because you can spend a lot of money all at once.
Yeah, you can.
And somebody, meaning me, spent $500 in about 5 minutes on foot. I called Ray up. I called him at work and I'm like, I may or may not have spent $500. He's like, oh my God, on what? And I'm like, no, it's good stuff.
$550, but it's okay.
No, it was 500 even.
550 with those.
No. That was including these.
Oh, right.
Yes, that was including. So I found, in terms of decorating, I found 2 rugs. We needed specific sizes for the house. So I found both of them. I love the colors. He agreed to them. He likes them too. So it was a go. And then there's these things called barrister bookcases. And they are these types of bookcases where they sort of look like they're rectangles stacked on top of each other. And the cool thing is the doors on them, you lift them up and push them back.
Door, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So in an antique store, they're $1,100. They're really expensive because they're gorgeous and beautiful pieces. I found knockoff ones. They're made out of particle board for $25 each. And they're 5 feet high.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
Yeah. They were totally disgusting because they were sitting in somebody's barn. But
they cleaned up well.
They cleaned up really well. So eventually when the bookcases get done, they're going to hold my yarn. They're going to go down to my office and then use them as that. So that was a decorating piece.
Yeah, we'll show you after we're done recording.
Okay. So gearing up, hopefully wood prices drop because I really would like to do the bookcases in the fireplace, which means I have to strip and paint, not stain, paint the mantle. This may be a test for our marriage because he doesn't want me to paint it. He wants me to stain it, and I don't like the stain.
It's a gorgeous wood underneath,
but it was traditional for them to be painted.
But I don't care.
What color are you painting it?
Black.
Okay. Here's the thing.
We have something that's ebony, and it's not enough drama for me.
I'll do 2 coats.
No, that's not the point.
At least you can go back from the paint. You can at least strip the paint. You
can't go back from stain.
The stain is
yeah. That's a forever thing. Like, at least if I don't like the black, if I do a test patch and hate it, I have stripper that I can just take it off with, and it's not a big deal if I decide to go to the stain. I just feel like paint's more forgiving than stain. And he does not agree with me. As you can tell by his body language, he is very, very, very skeptical of that.
We'll see who wins.
It'll be me. And in terms of what I would like to create for my Etsy shop and stuff, I want to get like a big cork board. Because I have Pinterest, but Pinterest it's one of those out of sight, out of mind things. It's like, oh, great, I pinned it, and then it goes into the ether. So I want to get a big cork board and start printing the stuff off and sort of putting together like a board of the ideas and inspirations for the different types of blankets I want to make.
That's cool.
I have 2 in my head right now. One is for a Death Eater one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then the other one, I don't know how much you know about The Hobbit, but Erebor, which is a dwarf city in a mountain. And I can't remember which mountain it is. But I found a really cool color palette that I think would look really, really neat for that. I just have to find a type of blanket that I would do. And I have an idea for my Series 2 common room blankets that I want to switch out. Yeah, so I want to get a corkboard. So I'm gearing up for stuff like that. But in terms of like, I'm so excited that you get to go to do these things. I'm very excited. We're living vicariously through you because it's not going to be happening for us for at least a year for that kind of thing. But it's so exciting that you guys are doing it because it's kind of like a sign that the world is starting to go back a little bit.
Right.
Not as fast as some people would like it to, but I mean.
And a little quicker than others would want. So it's,
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I if they had come back and said, oh, hey, it's going to be, everyone has to wear a mask, I would be, all right, cool. That's fine. Yeah. We're still going to go. Yeah. That's fine.
Right.
But like literally part of me wants to say, well, maybe I should go ahead and wear my mask anyway. But I'll be very honest with you. Like, school starts here in about 3 weeks, and the state has said no school district can mandate mask. So my boys are already going to be going to school sans any vaccination because it's still not certified for 9-year-olds. And I'm going to be at a campus where the current enrollment is 2,600. So,
wow.
And the majority of those kids are not going to be vaccinated and probably not wearing masks. So I'm just like, I'm going to be thrown into it anyway. So, I mean, I could wear a mask and definitely help myself some, but I
understand.
It is what it is. And if I get it, at least I'm vaccinated and it shouldn't be.
It wouldn't be too bad. Yeah.
Too bad.
Yeah. We're still in mask mandated areas. So if you're inside anywhere, you have to wear a mask.
Yeah.
Have to wear a mask.
We'll say Logan and I took a big step. We went to a mall today.
Yeah.
We drove to a mall, and the weirdest thing, and both of us said it. We went to have lunch in the food court, so obviously we had to take off our mask. It was uncomfortable.
It's weird.
Like it.
It is weird.
Both of us didn't like it. Both of us didn't like it, and Logan was like, they should have had some sort of like outdoor seating for that or something, because it was like you almost felt naughty. That's not a word that I really want to use for that, but you almost feel like you feel bad for taking off your mask. And everybody's pretty spaced out and stuff, and they have a great system for cleaning the seats and stuff like that. But it's just like taking this off, and I want to put it back on.
What's funny is like, we have gone out to eat at several different restaurants, including us and the boys, not wearing a mask or whatever. But a lot of restaurants have, like, they put up plexiglass dividers, like even if it's a fairly tall, seat in a bench or whatever, they've left the plexiglass up, and I think it's because they've realized it cuts down on, not only it would cut down on transmission or anything else, but it also cuts down on the noise, so people aren't constantly hearing each other. And I think people were probably like, no, that's fine, completely leave that up, because I really don't want to have to listen to the screaming kid two benches down or whatever. So
I don't know if you remember me chatting about this. Is a long time ago now, near the beginning of this. I was curious how this whole thing would influence the design of things, right? I was talking about specifically about cars at the time, a hanger for your mask, that type of thing, because cigarettes, you don't see a cigarette ashtray anymore. You don't see the lighter anymore, but they, that kind of thing. So
I've actually been going back and re-listening to the Epically Geeky show. Like I'm down to the low 100s. Okay. And so of course I went back through those, and I specifically remember you saying that. And even now I'm just like, I don't know if we're going to see that, but it would still be kind of cool if we did. So, but anyway, go on.
So what I didn't really take away of was, I think you are going to see a redesign in restaurants, right? And the design of the new restaurants will have it built in so that your party or your cubby will be more self-contained, so that it does cut down on the noise. And I'm really curious how that's going to affect everything, because I do see that actually probably coming is a redesign more for those types of findings than anything else. Yeah.
So, and it's funny because even though I may be going out and about in a place that doesn't have, I'm not wearing a mask and there's probably other people, I still find myself going, like I can hang back a little further.
Yeah.
I'll be fine just a little further. So, I don't know how much of a difference it's making or whatever. Granted, I've also not been in a place where someone is hacking up a lung. I think if you did that right now in public, everyone, vaccinated or not, will still be looking at you like, what are you doing out here?
Yes.
So. Well, and it's also changed. At least Chris and I have talked about this. If I come down with the flu, right, going forward, I'm gonna throw on a mask if I'm not feeling well.
Oh, absolutely.
Like it's that way. Like if I have to go out and I have to go to the grocery store or whatever, I'll throw on a mask so that I'm not infecting other people, right? Like it's changed that whole perception.
Yes. And that's more of like an Asian custom, is to wear masks in public places like that. And I was just like, okay, that's cool. That's their culture. It makes a lot of sense.
It does. It
makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah. I don't think it would happen probably even the rest of this year because everyone's just so
done.
ready to not wear masks. But I really kind of hope in the next year or so people will be like, all right, well, flu season's coming back around and starting to get heavy, and people are like, I'm just going to strap back on and be fine. And
yes,
and maybe make that a thing. And of course, I'm sure people, well, we've beat. Yeah, I'm not worried about COVID anymore. I'm worried about the flu. I'm worried about the cold that you're carrying right now. Yeah. And so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Boy, we've gotten we went down a rabbit hole for the creative show, didn't we?
That is not the original topic.
That's okay. It's creative.
Good.
Sure.
But it has an impact on our creativity and stuff because we're, like I said, I'm finally starting to feel those creative juices starting to flow and getting excited to start making things again. And I've been kind of making things on and off, but like now I'm feeling that little bit of pressure. So like the tubes that are on the side of the rack on my Ecto, like I'm like, man, I really need to get those puttied up and sanded down so I can get them painted and get them sealed and everything. So I've got until about mid next month. So I've got time. I just have to make sure I get it done.
Yeah. I think if COVID didn't happen and we were able to go to Fan Expo and all those things, I'd really want to be looking at costumes and doing some cosplay and doing that kind of thing. But because we're not going and all that stuff, that's what my creative juices for those just isn't there. That being said, I will show you. I'll send it to you if I can find it. At Fan Expo a couple of years ago, there was some pretty cool. Or it wasn't even Fan Expo. It was just something. It was a different expo of some sort. Anyway, there was really cool cosplay that I've never seen before, and it was really neat. I can't even explain it. It was like they were on stilts for their hands and their legs, and they were walking around, and it was really cool the way that they did it. So
that's creepy.
I know, but it was so awesome, and it would be something that I would love to do around here for Halloween. I think it'd be fun. So, but anyway,
he'll be gearing up for Halloween.
I will gear up for Halloween.
Yeah,
there's. Yeah, I keep watching some of these prop makers, and this one in particular, he makes everything out of foam, which is the medium that you can make some really awesome stuff really cheap.
Yeah.
You just need practice with, and I don't have a lot of practice with it. But like today's episode he put out, it's Odin Makes. He did Skeletor's not Chaos Staff, and he actually got some sheep skulls. He knows someone that works at like a nature museum, and he let him borrow them. So he took tin foil and wrapped it, and then put the duct tape on it, and then cut it back off so he could get the pattern. And he patterned this foam skull off of an actual skull, and it was just like, and it turned out fantastic.
That's so creative. That's
because
awesome.
that's one of those things. I don't ever see myself cosplaying as Skeletor, but I would sure as hell like to have his staff and like He-Man's sword like just sitting in the corner. That would be so awesome.
You have a specific type of person who could cosplay Skeletor.
Yeah, really, really high pitched voice.
Yeah.
Commit to the role. Want to make yourself purple and wear the furry loincloth. I mean, like a bikini bottom. It's not even a loincloth. It's a bikini.
Yeah. The other thing is like someone has been advertising. I don't know what the name of the company is, but they've been advertising on my Facebook page, and it's $40, but it is this fantastic skull helmet or not mask or whatever that the jaw actually moves and stuff.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw it, I was like, the only reason I would ever buy that is so I could paint it yellow, because it would look awesome as Skeletor.
Yeah, so, I saw that. It's funny that you mentioned that because it came up on my feed as well.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure you and I hit a certain target demographic that are like, this dude would buy this possibly.
How old is the? Yeah, no.
Yeah. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to our projects we're wanting to shoot for next time. Would anyone like to go first?
Sure, I will.
All right, what are you hoping to work for next time?
So I'm going to be really busy with work.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to have a lot of downtime. That being said, there's two things that I want to do. One is finish my first character carving.
Okay.
And then the other is buy a bunch of basswood. I'd like to get a couple of pieces of basswood at least, because apparently that is the best carving wood to work with. So.
Why is that?
It's a hardwood, but it cuts like butter.
Interesting. So it's a hardwood. That's an interesting combination because I would figure a softwood would carve much easier.
So it carves similar to pine, but because it's a harder wood, it actually holds the cut lines a lot better. So this is pine, for instance, right? And so to actually get detail carving, you have to have a really sharp knife first of all, but you can see some fraying and stuff like that. Like it doesn't hold as well.
Okay.
This I can't remember what this is, but this is hardwood, and like I can carve sharp points. I don't know if you can see that. So
okay, no, I see what you're saying.
Really sharp points, and it stays, and it's not going anywhere. So yeah, it's just some differences. So yeah, listening to Doug Linker, he said basswood. If you can get your hands on basswood, that's the one to carve with. So I'm gonna go find some.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't remember what the name of the channel is, but that one you recommended where the guy is carving out the vehicles.
Isn't that incredible?
Every time I've gone back and watched all of the vehicles, I mean, a lot of it's the same stuff over and over again, but it's just fantastic to watch.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's pretty crazy.
I'm gonna jump in here next. So I've really got to work on my flex. Like I said, by the next time we have a conversation, not only would I've gone Comic-Con, I might have done a parade. And if that's the case, I'm hoping that's where I'm going to premiere my Ecto. So that's got to be my focus, is to do that. One of the other things that I have to do is, along with painting of the house, Christy and I are updating some of the light fixtures and hardware in the bathrooms.
Yep.
It's been the same hardware and fixtures since we've been here. It's been 15 years. It definitely could, stand a little more modernization. So we're not going overboard. We're not spending a ton of money on this because we are going to only be here for another 4 or 5 years. But it definitely is more modern looking. And I've got to install that. So that was one of the things I had to work on was, we told the guy, we're like, we need you to paint. He ended up having to put primer on quite a few of the walls. But I'm like, I will take care of all the hardware. I'll take off all the hardware and all the plates and everything else, and patch up all the walls. So he didn't have to worry about any of that. He basically just had to come in and paint.
That's awesome.
So I've been doing that. So I've been patching walls and stuff like that and trying to get it prepped so that, once he's done, I can go in. I have to get the light fixtures up and I have to get some of the hardware up. So that's a must. And then hopefully, maybe I'll get these 6 little lights installed. And I'm really kind of hoping it's going to be one of those situations that I do the first one and I go, well, hell, what have I been stressing about? Like, this took me 30 minutes to do and I can knock them all out like in an afternoon. I'm really hoping that's going to be the case. One side funny thing I just have to point out, and I mentioned it to everyone on our chat. The day ended up eating up. This last weekend, it ended up eating all weekend trying to get prepped for the painting. But my wife and I were so nervous about having to take down. We had, like that old school, just like a large plate mirror, like in a bathroom. Several years ago, we had seen, she had seen something on Etsy or something or another, or probably Pinterest, honestly, where someone took border, like decorative border or whatever, and painted it and then glued it on there so it looks like a framed picture instead of just a large plate. And so that's what we had, and we're wanting to go to like just smaller actual framed mirrors or whatever, because that's what people are doing now. And we went to take them off. Well, I asked her, I was like, well, do you see any hardware? She's like, I don't see any hardware, and put it on there. So we got to looking it up, and it's like, oh, well, there's either hardware or it's glued to the wall. And here's how you take it off with the glue. You take wood shims and you slowly but surely keep, you put lots of them in there and you just keep hammering them in there until you start hearing it pop, and it will pull probably a good chunk of the paper off of the wall, and then you'll have to patch it up and then you'll be good to go. And I got up there and I was completely ready to start hammering in these things, and I saw these 2 little metal plates and I was like, wait a minute. And I managed to pop them out, and as soon as I did, the mirror came right off and the back of the wall was perfectly fine. It was the original white color. I was so excited. I was so excited that went as easily as it did.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because I really was dreading that. So
yeah, that's always a good day.
Yep. All right, Chris, what are you hoping to get done for next time?
Okay, if anybody watches this and pays attention to me at all, but that's fine if you didn't. I have ripped out the same 2 rows for this entire talk. Because the way that this pattern is, the bobbles have to line up. Weren't lining up in 2 different spots. So if it doesn't line up right now when I finish this row, I might burn it. I don't know, because this is the 2nd time, the 3rd time I've had to do this.
Oh, no.
Which is, it's a good learning experience. It's sort of like this. It's not permanent. I can rip this out and start again. It's not like it's going to break or anything like that. So It is a good lesson in patience, and it'll happen, and I'm not ruining anything. Plus, it's for us. So yeah, this is the 3rd attempt for these 2 rows. I'm really hoping it works. So I'm hoping to have this done, this blanket. I'm hoping I have to order more yarn, which will probably be sometime this week.
Yep.
Because I order from this website called Yarn Inspirations, which is Canadian, and they are not known for their speediness.
Gotcha.
Now, granted, I do not pay the extra for the express because shipping is so expensive in Canada. So I just wait, but still, they're not speedy. So I'm hoping to have this done, and then I really want to start actually like fleshing out, making a legit plan for what I want to do. Create like just create a plan of attack and actually like have it written down and organized as best as I can, and so I have some sort of direction, because it's all in my head right now and that's taking up mental space, so it needs to come out and so I can think about other things and stuff.
Gotcha.
I would like to create a plan of attack, have this done, and have not had pulled my whatever hair I have left out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that is our show for the month, ladies and gentlemen. If you would please give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, Google, Stitcher, wherever it is you listen or watch the show. As always, you can find us on the website epicallygeeky.com, as well as on the socials at Epically Geeky. You can also find the other shows that we do, including the Epically Geeky Show, the Marginally Geeky Show, and Sustainably Geeky, at least for right now. Well, you'll still be able to find it. You just it just may not be new episodes. We'll see.
Yeah.
So, speaking of which, we just dropped a new episode of both Sustainably Geeky and Epically Geeky. The Epically Geeky Show, we created toys, Happy Meal toys for movies that never got them, and in some cases never should have. And then on Sustainably Geeky, they interviewed a lady talking about how would you put it, Chris?
So her name is Susanna, and I can't remember her last name right now. She has a business called Chicana in Nature. So it's about BIPOC people learning more about nature and just getting out there and exploring and adventuring and foraging. And she's also big into summer camps. She runs day camps for kids. And she's just really awesome, really, really awesome, and really believes in this. And she's a doll. She's super cute.
Yeah. And then we're supposed to be recording a new Marginally Geeky next week. So by the time this comes out, it'll be later on that week. And we're reading Shadow and Bone.
I'm sorry.
I actually have some thoughts on that. So, because I literally started it yesterday and finished it today. So.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Well, double speed. So, like I said, you can find everything there. And then, of course, you can find us online as well. Where can we find you online, Ray?
The Reluctant Yeti on Instagram.
Chris, where can we find you?
You can find me here on Creatively, on Marginally, Sustainably, and Epically Geeky, and on, I lost my train of thought, on Instagram at Rose and Hummingbird.
And as always, you can find my little wacky adventure online at Optimus Gene on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For everyone on the site, have a good night.